What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your daily creative reading for July 27th. It took me a second there to get the date. Whew, it's been a long week. So I've already set the intention. We're going to dive in here. At the outset, though, just dreams are really loud today. Now, I was thinking about this and just looking through old journals, and dreams and listening to your dreams is very loud. I actually have my journal out, and I was writing about this morning. The reason why I'm such a proponent of journaling, or I guess like advocate for it, is you can start to see how spirit speaks to you and through you. So, first, we'll get into the cards, but just some pretty wild but wonderful things. And just, you are fierce. Hell yeah. Yes, you are. So I'll get to the dream stuff in a minute, but I was looking back at dream details and things like that, and I was just looking at my old journal looking for another dream that I had. Live your dreams. Ironic. No. But just listening to dreams is really important. So, generally speaking, it is, and it could just be, that this is how spirit speaks to me. Like, is there like a clairaudience, but for dreaming? Like, I don't know. But the reason why I was thinking about this was the fact that when it comes to dream states, there's so much that gets communicated to you. And there's so much that becomes possible for you. You become aware of so much. And we're back. Okay, so sorry about that. It was just I wanted to make sure that the cats weren't getting into anything. It was a bit of a weird noise, but it's okay. So back to this dream stuff. So I looked back to when the Cancer full moon was in January, right? So we think about things in terms of 6-month periods. So the Leo new moon on the 28th coming up would be what think about what was happening around the time of the Leo full moon that preceded it, right? And they kind of can work in a 6-month period like that. So I was thinking about the Cancerian full moon on January 17th, and there were so many downloads that took place around that time. And it was kind of wild. I remembered, so I wrote down that I woke up on January 23rd with the voice in my head saying, you need to prepare. You need to prepare. And it was like, you need to prepare. And I was just so shocked by that. And I was like, prepare for what? But then it was just like I needed to start to do more work. And then that day, there was, and this was around the time that I was formulating A Course in Creativity for this channel. But on that day, there was Baba Jolie readings, for example, talked about a book with gold letters. And I was like, what the hell? But I wrote it down as something important. And I thought it was just my blue, like, Hello Lovely journal that I featured in one of these daily readings. But then it was actually A Course in Miracles. And, because I had started to formulate the idea for A Course in Creativity at that time, right? And then in another reading, Awakening to Spirit, Awakening to Spirit, Cindy talked about, she talked about, there was the video was called Starseed Activation Mission Recall, and it talked about the blue flame, and somebody was trying to be reached in a dream state. She also pulled a garnet card, which was my birthstone, or is, and then she talked about the dream state adjusting my vibration. And then on the 18th of January, there was an article that talked about, on BuzzFeed, it said, like, people are sharing the one small event that changed the course of their entire life, and I'm starting to think that fate is real. The article was by Hannah Martyr. And, I had like a dream around December 2021 or so, with like these orange clay rooftops, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what? And I was like, maybe it's like I could not for the life of me figure it out. And I was trying to figure out the location. I'm like, I know it's European, but what? And then my friend, he recently posted pictures of his trip to Europe, and the location was very clear to me, and I just about fell out of my chair. And it's just like the trail of things, right? And then in another reading that Awakening to Spirit talked about, like, this courageous peony, and needing to be seen. And then she talked about sleep paralysis, and then blip over to Santero, who talked about sleep paralysis in a Sagittarius video. I shit you not, all of these things just like boom, 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 boom. So, and then they talked about, in a January 9th video, Awakening to Spirit talked about time to reveal your greatest asset in that video. And it was kind of about recharging in order to be seen. And then there were seahorses, and other readers have talked about seahorses. It's just wild. Okay, so all of this, some people might be like, what the hell was that about? 333 was just on the time. Honestly, I can't make this shit up, but it's really just to say that dreams have been exceptionally loud, right? Very loud. I had more vivid dreams last night. And I think it's just writing them down helps you to see, right? It helps you to see the guidance, because in those series of readings, it also talked about ancestors that were trying to connect with me. And my maternal grandmother is a Cancerian. So Cancerian new moon and full moon, right? And I couldn't figure out why last month the Cancer, new moon, I felt kind of broken open a little bit more than usual, emotionally speaking, but it would make complete sense if I had been doing that preparatory work that the dream called for. And again, like waking up and hearing, it was so clear. I still remember it. It was, you need to prepare. And the urgency was there. Like I hadn't been preparing, in the way that Spirit had wanted me to. So it's just listening to all of these little things, writing them down. Ultimately, what it does, and what I've found that it does, is it reminds you of how freaking loved you are, and how held and carried you are through things that are happening in your life. Like, one of the things that I put on my vision board for my core desired feelings, from the desire map for 2022, was I wanted to feel held and led in my life. Like I wanted to be led by Spirit. And that's exactly what had begun to happen. So it's just remembering dreams and focusing on them, and understanding that sometimes you're spoken to through dreams, and then sometimes it does come from just like one video auto playing into the next, into the next, into the next. And the way that they speak to one another, not just because of keywords and algorithmic stuff, but because they have this important component to them that you're meant to hear. Now, it doesn't make sense until now I'm looking at specific things and thinking to myself, whoa, like it makes much more sense now. But the point isn't to have it make sense right away. So it's just holding space for the way the information is coming to you. But their dreams have been quite loud lately. So just pay attention to those, because sometimes when you are unable to see patterns or connections when you're awake, your dreams become the place where Spirit speaks to you the most profoundly and vividly. Okay. So this first card that we pulled here, you are fierce. Okay. Dearest you, there's only one you, and you have a unique path and a special purpose. You're supposed to have specific experiences in this world and meet certain people, but then it is up to you how you live, how awake you choose to be, and how willing you are to grow and strip away what is false. Don't compare yourself to others. It's easy to think a person is happier just because their outside looks good according to society's standards, but you can't know anyone's internal experience. Compare yourself only to your past self. See how far you've come. Don't be distracted by what others are doing or accomplishing. Stay focused on what inspires you. That's how you get successful and find happiness. Want what you have now, not what someone else has. We love you immensely and know your journey ahead is sparkling with miracles and wondrous things. Trust. Loving you forever and ever. So a lot of messages here too. Like this is the journaling piece is really how I got into a place of, which one do you want, Spirit? The journaling was how I got into a place of being able to compare myself to myself as opposed to looking outside, right? So we're going to dive into this hero's journey spread for the day, this creative spread. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives? Now, 2 cards popped out and flew back in, the Devil and the 9 of Pentacles. Kind of a call to not doubt yourself, I think. Don't doubt yourself. Don't do it. You might be compelled to. It might feel really easy, but what's easy doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best for you, right? It's just the path of least resistance because it's what you've known. So we're starting with the 5 of Cups here. Okay, a lot of things are trying to come out here. So these 3 kind of popped out together. So the King of Cups, the Hanged Man, and the 4 of Wands. So some water energy. It's like stabilizing your emotions a little bit here. I'm getting that it's like the call is to stabilize your emotions, because there might have been something that you were feeling kind of disappointed about. Not like outright heartbroken, but like making a bigger deal out of something than maybe what it needed to be. And some people might be like, yeah, that's not what that, but that's what it's coming across as, like, because there's so much that's here for you. There's so much that's here. And it's like, it's like making a big deal about something that, like, you have 9 cups. So why, right? It could also be like not being willing to see something that's really important to see right now. But let yourself feel what you need to, but then integrate those emotions, because the King energy tells me that there's a powerful way that your energy is coming together right now, right? This King of Cups. So we have the King of Cups. Sorry that the camera's shaking a little bit. I don't know if it's showing up in that way, but we have the King of Cups, the Hanged Man, and the Four of Wands. And then we have the Magician on the bottom. So it's almost like the call to adventure here that you're being brought to in this particular position is you're manifesting in a really powerful way, and you know more than you might think you do. You know more than you might think or assume you do. And it's not even like assuming that you know. I think it's like a knowing. And the knowing doesn't come from having all the answers. The knowing comes from having the tools that help you make the most of where you are and help you actualize, right? This is like kind of the call to adventure is the unknown in a way. It's not so much fool energy, but I get this as being you have everything that you need. And that's really the key here is everything that you might need on the journey is within your energy. It's just understanding and pulling it forward, right? Understanding and pulling it forward. Now, the Page of Swords here could be a little like, there could be research that you're doing online. It could also be, storying your existence, like storying, because I think about the Page of Swords and the Page of Wands. I mean, all of the pages really as sort of storytellers and writers, more so the Page of Swords and the Page of Wands to me. But I feel a bit like that's like, there's like storying something, right? And it's like, there's ways that this is similar energy to me. It comes across as such, at least, but it's, I'm seeing that it's like, this is again, the call for dreams. Like, this is something that's like, it seems out of reach, but there's a way that you're communicating with spirit and spirit is communicating with you. And if you look for the answers in traditional ways, like this traditional learning, like, that's more the Hierophant energy, but depending on where you look for that energy or look for those answers, this could become a tower if it goes unchecked, right? This could become a tower is the way that you search for information, or this could be comparing yourself to other people on social media or using the internet in ways that are, that speak to your belief about yourself and what you deserve, but in sort of a deleterious and depleting sense with your energy. Yeah. I share that about my experience in the dreams, not because I'm like, I just felt like it was important. And it was very loud this morning. And just with other dreams that I had towards the end of my evening and like that lucid-ish state, and towards the end of my evening, towards the end of my dreaming, for me, some of my most powerful and poignant dreams come up towards the end. And as I'm lucidly just kind of waking up, but anyways, I think this is also what could become a tower about this I just got is that if you rely too much, like if you look outside of yourself and hope or expect that is going to generate more answers than what you already have, that will throw you completely off balance. Like there's information that you have inside of you, like you have what it takes, but it's going to really mess with your energy if you go too far outside of yourself. If you go too far outside of yourself. Yeah, Nine of Cups. That's your protagonist energy. The antagonist energy is the Ace of Swords. So it's almost like there's how you define your truth, right? How you define your truth. And if you look at truth as something that is existing outside of you, and existing outside of you, I'm thinking about the Seven of Cups. If you trust what's outside of you more than you trust what's within you, that's where your truth can kind of become a sword that it doesn't liberate you. It's not something that frees you. I'm hearing Archangel Michael. Oh, the blue, right. This Archangel Michael's sword. Thank you so much, Spirit. I feel like this could be a call to do some energy clearing, and to focus on not cutting ties or anything along those lines, but just focusing on releasing energy that doesn't serve you, releasing negative energy that takes away from yours, but also understanding that there's a way that served, that there's a purpose that served to begin with. Yeah, these cards just kind of flew out as an aside. We have the Four of Cups, the Fool, the Ten of Wands, and the Ten of Pentacles, which is really about releasing resistance and choosing the wish that might be choosing you. That's choosing the wish that might be choosing you. Yeah, but again, there's an invested energy here, right? Like you have to release. This is like the release of what wasn't working, frustration, and the movement towards. This is a building energy. So the Ten of Pentacles doesn't show up all at once. It doesn't show up all at once. It can show up independent, at first, like just one step at a time, right? One step at a time. But there's something that has the potential to come to fruition here. There's a lot of starting energy, like starting point energy. Once you integrate this kind of disappointed, or they just integrate emotions that don't serve you. This Five of Cups, right? 1414 was just on the time. So it's about integrating that energy so that you can work with it well. And then we have the Seven of Wands as the challenge, and then the Three of Wands. Yeah, this could be a little bit of codependence that we're overcoming in terms of the emotions that make you feel like you have to do things for other people, or the emotions that make you feel like you have to advocate more for others than yourself. Not from a justice place, not from an equity place. This is more from a place of feeling like there's like a way that you were so caught up in specific energy and being caught up in a little bit of defensiveness, perhaps, that it makes it difficult for you to plan for the future. It makes it difficult for you to face forward and look at what's coming. It makes it difficult for you to face forward and to really see that there's more positive opportunity and possibility awaiting you, right? So I think that's a good challenge. But it could have been that your energy is a little bit defensive or a little bit blocked. These cards are coming out here. That's very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to put these down here because those were pretty loud. So we have, so it was like this. So we have the Wheel of Fortune, the Hermit, the Emperor, and the Ace of Wands, which is creative inspiration coming in. This is, again, new. Like there's the entry point of new. It's so interesting. We're coming up to the Leo new moon. So maybe think back to what was happening around the time of the Leo full moon last time, and really seeing like what can we as in you be starting that's new, that prioritizes. This is you prioritizing yourself and cherishing yourself and your ideas and the importance of them. It's built on wisdom. And I think when wisdom and action come together, nothing is impossible, right? And it's almost like this fate, right? That it's very interesting. I'll read that article title to you again. So this is like a call for synchronicity, but that article title from BuzzFeed that I saw was people are sharing the one small event that changed the course of their entire life, and I'm starting to think that fate is real. And it was an article on BuzzFeed by Hannah Marder, Marder. And Hannah with two N's. But I feel like there's this expansion, like it's almost like this is kind of true here, right? Like one small thing that changes everything. And it can just be a series of small decisions. It can be a series of little things that start adding up to big things. So let me just pull a couple more cards here before we get into the little brief clarification here. But just understanding how carried and led you are, how helped you are. Justice. Yeah, this is like a feeling of things being right side up for you. If not right side up, then it's like you're doing right by yourself, right? The Aries energy is quite loud, like you're doing right by yourself, as opposed to allowing situations to sort of derail your sense of certainty, or at the very least, a comfortable, like there's comfort that's disrupted, but in service to you being comfortable in your own skin, right? And being comfortable with what you're doing for you, and not just breaking away from codependence, yes, but even when it doesn't make sense to other people, you're like, nope, that's exactly what I'm doing. Then the Knight of Pentacles. Oh, wow. And the Lovers and the Ace of Cups and the High Priestess and the Empress. Jesus. Okay, so, whoa. Okay, so the Knight of Pentacles. This is like intense. This is an intense week, but intense in the best kind of way. Like there's so much here. I mean, if you're looking for a relationship, I don't know, but we have almost all the aces here, save the Ace of Pentacles. But I feel like the Ace of Pentacles might even show up in the clarification. The reason why these energies are profound for relationships is you have all of the relationship cards here, except for the Hierophant for the most part, but you have stability in the Four of Wands. That's like stable home, stable connections. You have the Ace of Swords, which is that new, that fresh. The Justice card, I think, is a good thing to see in relationship context because it's about taking in wisdom, but then it's also about sharing in a balanced way. And it's this just way that you're showing up to your life, your creative projects, your relationships, all of it, because it's like integrated. You're integrated, which means that the Five of Cups is, you went from the Five of Cups going into the King of Cups and the Hanged Man. It's like you made the decision, right? And the Lover's card is a choice. So it's almost like you're choosing love after this. And it's like these things are super connected. And I see precisely why Spirit was like, you need to talk about these dreams that you had. In that 6-month exchange, right? That 6-month gap between the Cancerian full moon in January to the Cancerian new moon last month. And it would make sense too why I kept telling people, at work, oh, it's January such and such. Like it's almost like you could feel it trying to percolate up in my energy. 1919 was just on the time. But again, it's about making little choices that feel right. This is almost like creative sparks. This is intuitive inclinations. Like, oh, I should go here and do this. Oh, I should read this, right? Like I talked about that book, the one about writing a book that fell off my shelf. I talked about it in a reading for specific signs, but I'll show you here. I was looking at, writing a book and wanting to do that. And then, this book has probably been, where I work for actually 2 years. The date that it came in is on the top of the book. It's been there for 2 years, and it was like hanging off the shelf and pretty much fell off the shelf as I walked past it on the weekend. So, I mean, little things, right? That's an Ace of Wands moment. That's an Ace of Wands moment because it's an action-oriented energy that sparks your attention, gets your attention, and moves you somewhere else, moves you forward. 2020 vision is everything. 2020 was just on the time. Could have been something in 2020 that was important for you, but I'm seeing that there's this way that, so we have the Empress, the High Priestess, the Ace of Cups, and the Lovers. I feel like there is a lot of energy here where it's like you're giving birth to something, but I feel like it's more that you're being birthed. Like I feel like you're being birthed. And this Ace of Wands is indicative of an open heart. This Ace of Wands is indicative of a kind of a heart that's open now, and like it's like ready. Like there's decisions that you're making because you're deeply intuitively connected. Again, that's why dreams are really important. Dreams are really important. And the High Priestess doesn't represent dreaming necessarily, but that's how intuition speaks to you, right? That's how intuition comes and arrives. And so we also have the Knight of Pentacles, which is this sort of slow movement forward, yes, but this is also marking your progress as opposed to your perfection, which is also why, it's so important to journal. It's so important to, you don't have to like keep meticulous record of things like I did before. It is really cool when that happens. But it really, it gets quite loud. It gets quite loud because you start to see that your intuition speaks to you moment by moment quietly, but then it builds to this sort of crescendo moment where you're able to connect the dots. And I don't know, like connecting the dots can mean so many different things, but there's a lot of new leaps here. And it's almost like ending a way. This Four of Cups is coming across today in particular as like ignoring your intuition. It's ignoring those little whispers in your ear, and it's like you're being called to take a leap, but in what direction you may not know, which could be frustrating. But that's where it's like you need to release the resistance, release the need to know, because it's not that you need to know, you just need to know what's most important to you, and that is where things start. That's where it all starts. I'm going to very briefly clarify this here. We have a ton of cards out. I'm not even going to try to organize them. But let me do this here. Spirit, what messages do you have for my creative collective for this July 27th daily creative reading, please? July 27th. Messages for my creative collective. 9 of Cups. We have the 7 of Wands, the 8 of Pentacles. I'm hearing the words long time coming. When I see the Eight of Pentacles, it's sort of like, craftsmanship. Yes, on the one hand, it's also an element of mastery too. And the Hermit, yeah. There's a lot of wisdom that you have right now. And it's like wisdom, it takes on so many sources. This was on the top of the affirmation deck that I have here. Place your hand over your heart. Ask your heart what it wants you to know today. So we'll put that here. That came out recently for another one too. But yeah, the Nine of Cups tells me that there's this depth of emotional fulfillment that didn't come from outside of you. You cultivated that for yourself. You built that from the ground up for you. And then this Six of Wands is like this success. It's like this, people see something as successful. People are seeing this sort of end result and not the journey there. And the journey there is this hermit energy that's part of the depth of your truth, right? That's the whole story. I feel like that's like the real story of what took place, is how you trusted yourself. And this Nine of Wands, it was a release, and it's like leaning into the unknown. It's like leaning into the unknown here, where you took the steps anyway, right? We have the Nine of Cups, the Magician, and then the Nine of Wands encapsulating this sort of energy. Like you knew you have to follow your heart, right? You have to follow your heart. And this strikes me as something of it. I don't know if I would say it's an ascension process, but I feel like this is certainly where you made choices for yourself. You made choices for yourself, and it benefits so many other aspects of your life and other people. And this Eight of Pentacles is this like awareness, this depth of emotional awareness on the one hand, because it's on the integration here, but it's also a sort of depth of knowing, right? It's a depth of knowing, and you might feel still a bit like there's some things that are new. Like this page energy is now coming across as like a learning energy, but I feel like you're applying yourself to what you needed to know. You applied yourself in the best way possible. You applied yourself as you needed to. So whatever comes next, it's not about what comes next. It's about who you became along the way. And oh my gosh, the song. And we learn the reasons why one step at a time. One Step at a Time by Jordan Sparks, right? That song. But this Nine of Cups is like, it's showing up now as this emotional fulfillment. Like we see these different iterations of the Moon and the Cups energy, right? It's like on the one hand, it's like you were ascending that sort of staircase, right? Ascending that staircase without knowing what would meet you at the top. And then you have this beautiful sense of fulfillment that met you there. It met you there regardless of, not regardless of like what happened or anything like that. It's more regardless of what your initial thoughts were about it. It was exactly where you needed to be. So maybe you need to know that based on all of the things that are coming together here today, is like you were exactly where you needed to be. And you're exactly where you need to be, right? There's deep counterpart energy here. There's the Hermit, the High Priestess, the Emperor, the Empress, the Lovers, the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Wands, the Wheel, the Ace of Swords, the Magician, 10 of Pentacles, 4 of Wands. All of this stuff, all of these cards are relationship-oriented cards. These are this is a deep commitment energy, or sacred contracts. Could be soul family that's expanding. But letting things carry you, even when they don't make sense, even when it doesn't make sense, and your inclination might be to be like, that's bullshit. Don't dismiss stuff that seems, like it doesn't make sense, or, you have to really listen to your intuition. You have to listen to your intuition. I feel like that's a very important thing right now. So which do you want? Okay, so I'm going to pull from the Life Loves You deck. I'm going to pull from the Life Loves You deck here. Spirit, whoa, okay. So I am creative, and I am love. I would also add, I am loving, lovable, and loved, and love. So I am creative. Honor your unique gifts. Think of 3 ways you could express your creativity today. Then we also have, I am love. Be the presence of love. Let the spirit of love flow through you. Huge, huge, huge. So now I'm going to read this deck, the whole deck. Yeah, that's the whole deck in a card. So live your dreams, and there's a rabbit on the back. Okay. Or hair, depending. Dearest you, isn't it amazing how things seem to come around again full circle in ways you could not possibly have planned? Oh, spirits, funny. You wonder how a dream could die only to be resurrected years later when you're really ready. You thought it was time back then, but your wisdom knows better than your small self, whose desires are unmet. Now, here you are with a new opportunity to do things from a different, more mature perspective. That's really what's happening here, right? This maturation process with your intuition. We want you to do things, we want you to trust that in this new opportunity for rebirth, you will be called in two directions, and the one that is unfamiliar will be the right one. In the unknown spaces, the uncharted places of infinite potential, we are waiting to guide you into your fullest life. Big bounty will come if you remain in the present. You have come full circle, and now you can see that everything changes, is made new, and is given new hope. Loving you always. Yeah. So, oh, my creative collective, you are more carried than you understand. Damn. I'm hearing the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but oh gosh, I can't remember the ukulele edition. I forget his name. It was a beautiful rendition. I can see oh, I'll put the link in the description below to it on YouTube so that I get their name right and everything. But so beautiful. Okay, that is your daily creative reading, my darlings. And what a creative reading. Don't dismiss things. Don't dismiss things when they resonate in your intuition. If it's meant to be, I like to make note of these things and just write them down because they lead you places. So, and it's a really big call to trust yourself too. Damn, this is so good. Okay. If this resonated, give it a like and subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel if you are not already, but if you are joining me from my subscriber base, thank you. I really appreciate you. So there are other ways you can connect with me on the channel, so do check that out. But if this is where we part, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, I hope that it finds you very well, my friends. Take care.